Three IDF soldiers were killed on the Egyptian border on Saturday in what seems to have been a terror attack. Officials in Cairo claimed that this was not terror, but merely an accident. We're going to break it all down for you here on the show today, so stay tuned. Also, in New York, 40,000 people gathered to celebrate and to march in the Celebrate Israel annual parade. I'm Josiah, and this is the Israel Guys. Welcome to the Israel Guys, where we believe that in a world of Jew hatred and anti-Israel propaganda, you should have a direct connection to the land and people of Israel. Welcome back to the show, guys. I am back in the studio here in Israel. We had a great trip to the United States. We're at the NRB. They're connecting with many Christian broadcasters from all over the United States. Had a great time there. Also interviewed some amazing people. We put one of those interviews up on the channel. You should go and check it out as well. We are back in the studio and have some hard things to discuss today. Also, some great things happening in the U.S. In connection with celebrating Israel, the Celebrate Israel Parade. We're going to talk about that at the end of the show. But first, there were three IDF soldiers, unfortunately, that were killed on the Egyptian border just on Saturday morning. And we haven't actually seen this kind of attack on the border, the Egyptian border, in quite some time. Been relatively quiet due to Israel's intensified security measures down there. I believe they built a very high-tech fence down there on the border. But early Saturday morning, an Egyptian policeman crossed the border over to Israel and shot and killed two IDF soldiers who were at the guard post. And then later, when the IDF was tracking down this terrorist, he shot and killed another IDF soldier there. The three soldiers that were killed were Leah Ben Noon, who was 19 years old, Ora Yitzchak Eluz, who was 30 years old, and Ohad Shimon Dahan, who was 20 years old. We can continue to pray for the families of these three soldiers who were killed. So according to the IDF, the terrorist, after he shot these two soldiers at the guard post, was spotted by a drone several kilometers into Israeli territory. And the IDF finally found the man. A gun battle ensued, and the third soldier was shot by the terrorist before the IDF were able to neutralize this terrorist. So the IDF is deeming this a terror attack because this lone policeman crossed the border. Lots of details that we're going to talk about in just a second. But Egypt, the Egyptian officials, so far have not labeled this a terror attack and are not calling this man a terrorist. The Egyptian explanation is that the policeman entered Israel in pursuit of drug traffickers, which really doesn't make sense when you start to look at more details of the situation. And the good thing is, though, that Israel has agreed to cooperate and work with Israel to investigate this incident. So they're going to do a joint investigation, Israel and Egypt, to investigate what exactly happened. Egyptian officials have sent their condolences for the soldiers that were shot, as well as the policeman who was also shot and killed. We're going to talk about, just 1 second, more details on this attack and why this does not look like this was a chase after some drug traffickers, drug smugglers who were going across the border. But first, make sure you subscribe to the Israel Guys. Click that subscribe button. If you're new to the channel, we appreciate you hitting that subscribe button. Or if you've been watching for a while and still haven't clicked that subscribe button, we really appreciate it, because the only reason we want you to subscribe and hit that like button is so that these videos can get out to more people and more people can see the truth and keep updated on what is actually happening here in the land of Israel. We really, really appreciate it, guys. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe. You know what to do. We appreciate it a lot. All right, so yesterday, the Mariv newspaper published more details about this incident and kind of what the IDF has pieced together from information and different details about what exactly happened, how the guy got to the place, and how he was able to kill these three soldiers. So apparently, this policeman walked about 6 kilometers from where he was located. I don't know if it was his base or his police station. Walked about 6 kilometers in Egypt, climbed to the top of a cliff to get to the border fence. He had a backpack full of gear, including 6 magazines for his rifle. I believe he had like an M16 or an AK-47 rifle. He had 6 magazines full of rounds for the rifle. Also, he had a Quran and a knife, which a Quran in his backpack also points to this maybe being a terrorist attack driven by the religious fanaticism of Islam to kill those infidels who do not believe in the Quran and do not believe in Allah. So that's another indicator that this is probably a terrorist attack. He apparently used his knife to cut the zip ties on the fence or on the gate that was right there. This was at a crossing used in coordination with Israel and Egypt. They coordinated and used it for logistical gate right there. So it was only zip tied shut because Israel and Egypt both cooperated to go in and out of this gate quite often. So the guy cut the zip ties on the gate, approached the guard post where these two IDF soldiers were located. Apparently, they did not see him at all. He opened fire and killed both of the soldiers. The two soldiers at the post were 19-year-old Leah Ben Nun, a female soldier, and also Ori Yitzchak Iluz, the 30-year-old who was at the guard post as well, immediately killing them. And the reason it seems like they were caught completely off guard is because there was no communication over the radio calling for help or identifying that there was a terrorist or somebody even approaching the guard post, which would have been the protocol if they see somebody approaching their guard post. So when the bodies of the soldiers were found around 9 a.m., the IDF immediately realized that this was some sort of attack, a terrorist attack, and that the terrorist was probably still inside Israeli territory and probably still in the area, launched a massive search for the terrorist. Thankfully, he was spotted by a drone. And when the forces closed in on him, he opened fire on the IDF, and that's when the third soldier was shot and killed, Ohad Dahan, before the terrorist was neutralized by the IDF forces there. So that's kind of just a recap of what the IDF and what we kind of know and seem to know of the situation, what probably took place. Obviously, it's very hard to tell the specific details, but this is kind of an overview of probably what took place and most likely points to this being a terrorist attack. Now, I guess the question is, was this an isolated terror attack? Was this guy a lone wolf who just woke up and said, I'm going to go cross into Israel and kill Israeli soldiers, or probably any Israelis he was looking for, but on the border, there's only going to be soldiers here at this point. Or was this a coordinated attack with a larger terror group inside of Egypt or maybe inside of Israel that they're working together? Or also there was a attempted drug smuggling operation that same night on the border, which was, I think, within several miles of where this incident took place. The IDF thankfully was able to thwart that drug smuggling attempt. So some speculations say that this was a distraction for that smuggling attempt. Didn't even have thankfully the IDF caught. Another option could have been that sort of incident there. And another question is, was this attack backed by any sort of organizations in Egypt, even by the Egyptian government, any forces in government? Obviously, there's a lot of turmoil within the Egyptian government themselves and the Muslim Brotherhood and all these terrorist factions and different things. So there's a lot of different options here. Don't really know exactly what's going on, but all we do know is that the way this man came in and the things he perpetrated, the way he attacked, points very well that this most likely a terror attack. Guys, we continue to ask you to pray for the victims' families, those three soldiers who were killed. We have photos, hopefully we can throw up, or already did, on the screen. You can see these three soldiers who were killed. I believe all three of them, their funerals were yesterday, and all three of them, I think, were buried in their hometowns where they were from before. All right, guys, we're going to talk about Meir Tamari, who was killed actually last week in a terror attack, very tragic terror attack, and I believe we covered it extensively on the show here last week. But yesterday, the president of Israel, Isaac Herzog, and the first lady visited the family, the widow of Meir Tamari, and his family to offer a condolence visit to the family. It's very, very customary for officials in Israel to come and visit the families of those who have been struck by terror, those who have suffered in terrorist attacks. But something that the father, Meir's father, Moshe Tamari, said to the president, I thought was very interesting and thought-provoking, and really kind of just analyzes the what's happening in Israel and the terrorist attacks going on and what could be done to stop and potentially prevent further attacks from happening. So Meir's father, Moshe, spoke to the president during his visit to the family and said, quote, "You are citizen number one. I ask you to help us here, to expand, help us build another community here so there won't be attacks like these." And obviously this is translated from Hebrew, so the English is not quite correct. These attacks, continuing on, these attacks are done because we are weak. If after every attack, another 100 families would move in, the growing number of attacks would shrink by a lot. It would very much reinforce the residents in the area. I can tell you, as the father of a boy who was taken in his youth, in his 32nd year, I want to say I appreciate what the USA does for us, but the US president can't work here because of us. You are my president, and you are closer to understanding what I feel than Biden is. So I ask you, do what is needed. Change the situation, build, bring back the checkpoints, stop being afraid. Meir Tamari was a beacon in his community, a dedicated father to his 2 young children, and a loving husband to his wife, Tal. Their dreams were just beginning to take shape with a new home they had recently finished building, but their world was shattered. While simply driving home from work, Meir was shot dead by Arab terrorists. Today, Tal is left alone, a widow with her 2 young children to care for. Their provider, their protector, their beloved Meir is gone. Friends, right now, Israel 365 needs your help to provide the support that Meir can no longer give. You can ensure that Tal and her children have the financial security they need to navigate this tragic time. Your donation is more than just money. It's a message of love and solidarity. It's a promise that even in the darkest times, we stand together. Just from last week's show, you guys gave over $15,000 to this campaign. Please, if you have not already given, give generously. Help Israel 365 reach their goal of $100,000 to support Meir's widow and 2 young, beautiful children for years to come. Let's show Tal and her children that they are not alone, that the nations of the world are standing together with them. Thank you for standing with the people of Israel. Thank you for comforting the people of Israel. Isaiah 40 verse 1 says, "Comfort, comfort my people Israel." Together we can make a difference. Together we can bring a little light back into their lives. By donating today, click the link in the description below to give generously. All right, guys, we're going to close out today with some good news. We have the annual Celebrate Israel Parade in New York, Manhattan, New York, where 40,000 people gathered this year to celebrate Israel, to celebrate Israel's 75th anniversary. The parade this year is on the 75th anniversary of the State of Israel, and it drew tens of thousands of supporters. And I believe these are just people who marched in the parade, not counting those who were watching and observing the parade itself. There were quite a few officials at the parade. Celebrities. Mattisyahu performed at the parade. During the parade, I think he was on one of the floats going down, singing songs about Jerusalem and Israel. Also, Governor Kathy Hochul was joined the parade with many other New York officials there. And well, before you get on me for saying that they support Israel, yes, they outwardly support Israel, and we appreciate that outward support of Israel. Although most of their policies and a lot of their ideas, their true support of Israel is not for Israel's best interest, and many of them are actually harming Israel with the policies they try to push forward when it has to do with Israel. But at least they're openly supportive of Israel, guys, and at least 40,000 people gathered to celebrate Israel in New York, and that is huge, and we appreciate all those who were there celebrating Israel and giving your support and your voice and just showing up there to stand and say, we celebrate Israel and we support Israel and we are encouraging the state of Israel. Guys, thank you so much. For those of you who joined, put down in the comments if you were at the parade. Say, I was at the parade in New York, Celebrate Israel Parade. We'd love to see you there. Guys, thank you so much for watching today. That's the recap of what has been happening this weekend and what's happening today here in the land of Israel. As always, subscribe, get the conversation going down below. We love seeing you down in the comments. Write that comment. Tell us what you think. Tell us what you think about what's happening here. Tell us what you think about the Israel Guys, the show. Comment where you're from. We love seeing your comments down below. And as always, remember, tune out the fake news and tune into what is actually happening here in the land of Israel. We'll be back every day, Monday through Friday, with your direct connection to the land and people of Israel.